Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Sammy Kay to the podcast. Sammy is currently playing guitar in the Kilograms, a new ska reggae project with Joe Gittleman, formerly of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. The Kilograms released their debut EP back in February. Sammy talks about music as a means of escape, how the Kilograms came together, the joy of creating music, and so much more. I honestly wasn't sure what to expect when I hopped on the call with Sammy, but it was such a delightful conversation, and I hope everyone who listens to this pod has a good time as well. Thanks so much for listening to As the Story Grows. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can find links to our Discord server, Patreon page, and mailing list in the show notes or at asthestorygrows.com. Over on YouTube, Karina Falk 7169 left a comment on chapter 483 with Joel from Blind Channel. Hey, thank you very much for this really very nice, interesting interview with Joel. I really enjoyed it and love it. Thanks. You can leave a comment on your favorite episode or an episode you enjoyed, and I will read it on the podcast. Enjoy getting to know Sammy Kay from the Kilograms.
Tell the truth and a Bible from my granddaddy's youth. Don't smile, son, when I'm talking to you. Do you swear that you're born for gold and honor truth? Is that the dude that's your sergeant's the parachute? We gotta hold him down, ready to hang the brute. Do you swear not to swear?
I have like some pretty obsessive tendencies.
Yeah.
So like that joke about boomer tech, like I choose to not know how to fix a guitar. I choose to not own a computer.
Okay. All right.
Because if I have a computer, then I'm going to like obsess about design and like studio. Like like it's just, guitar pedals and guitars and writing songs is enough to ruin my life.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah. It was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend a lot of time on YouTube. And because this bass was super like jacked up. And I was like, I'm just going to watch enough videos to learn how to set it up. And I did it and it works great. And so I was like, that's enough.
I can do setups on like a Telecaster.
Yeah.
Like if something's a little out, I know how to do that. But like, I just got like a new harness, all new guts for one of my guitars, and it was like it needed one solder. That's it. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm taking it to a shop. You know, I don't want to go buy a solder. Like,
yeah,
it's been that way since I was a kid. Like when I started my first band, it was like, oh, cool, we need merch. I'm going to teach myself how to silkscreen and also do design work. And you know, and it's just always kind of been that way. that now at 35, I'm just like, I know what I can do and I know what I can't, and I'm not, you know.
Yeah. I'll try and, I'll like look at some YouTube videos. I've had some pedals where I'm just like, it's like, okay, if you just open it up and remove the chip and put it back in, it should work. And if it's more than that, then I'm just like, all right, somebody else has to deal with this. That's out of my pay grade.
Yeah. Like I can change tuners. I had to change tuners recently, but that's 2 screws.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like that's it. Like, and I can I have a bunch of old vintage acoustics that have like the original tuners, like, and I know how to take the back off and tighten the screws, because some of them after 3 weeks of shows, like the B string, you'll tune it to B and then it'll just go whomp to, you know, 2 steps down because the screws are stripped, you know?
But where'd you grow up? I was trying to piece together a bio via various websites on the internet, but there's information is scattered.
If I was to write a book, a memoir, it would be called What the Fuck Am I Doing With My Life? Some stories that are true aren't true, and you'll never know the difference, right? I grew up about 30 miles outside of New York City in New Jersey, Parsippany in Morris County. That's where I dipped out of there at like 17 and went to New Brunswick and then Asbury Park. And I did some time in New York City. I've done about 10 years in Los Angeles. And then now I'm in Kentucky.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's kind of fucking rad. I'm not gonna lie.
What made you choose Kentucky?
Now I'm kind of over it in this. It was a fiscal thing.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to live in LA County or Southern California and create. And I couldn't afford to live in Austin or Chicago or even New Jersey. Like a studio apartment in Asbury Park is like $3,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not paying, like you can't make music. And a friend of mine, so I'm butting up next to Cincinnati. Like I can walk to Cincinnati.
Okay.
A friend of mine was like, yo, like if you want to come to Cincinnati, like it's affordable, it's cheap, and you're in a major city. There's a downtown. It's not a huge downtown, but there's a downtown. And I showed up here and it just, you know, I've been here for like 2.5 years and it's gone up. The cost of living has gone up at least 50%.
Yeah.
But like I can still afford, you know, it's about like my monthly nut's like $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
$1,600 a month. Like you can afford a car payment and you can afford like, you know, when I got here, it was like, all right, let's go out every night. Like I'm sober, but like, let's go bowling. Let's go this, let's do that. Let's like, and you could afford to do that. Like, oh, fuck yeah. Like Indianapolis is 2 hours away or Columbus or Louisville or like, let's just go to Nashville for the weekend. Like you could afford to do it versus like New York or LA or even like the better parts of Jersey. Mm-hmm. You're working 60 hours a week to have two metaphorical Pabsts. Yeah. You know, like it's just not fucking affordable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather live a good life in Kentucky or, you know, not one of the major cities and be able to do whatever, like, what I want, you know?
Yeah. What got you into music?
That's a really loaded question because like the obvious answer is my father. My father was a punk. My father played Telecasters. He still has a wine red, you know, double bound rosewood neck Telecaster on the wall. That's the obvious answer is my old man. And my mom was a punk too. My mom, they hung out at CBGB's and they lived in New York in the late 80s, in the late 70s, early 80s. But the heavy answer was an escape. I grew up in Northern Jersey at kind of the birth of the opioid epidemic and it was a fucking way out. It was a way to get, when I was like 15, I saw a means to leave. And I was all right at it. I wasn't good. I still don't think I'm that good, but I can hang. But I knew that I could get out of my hometown.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could see that there were people all over at the time, just the region that were like me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of really got into it as a means of survival. And it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
I think I hit California the first time I was like 17.
Oh, wow.
I was working like selling merch for bands and that just, it spiraled. And even still to this day, like I'm still working crews. Sometimes I'll still do festival work. I'll still go tour manage, but those are now just like, oh, you guys are going out for a weekend? Like, let me come work so we can go like hang out, you know, like those are more now like vacation little rips. Like anytime like the pie tasters call, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll get on a plane, I'll get on a bus, I'll drive down like, yeah, you want to hang out for 3 days and I'll stage manage and run the show and settle up like all in, you know?
Nice.
Yeah, but it was just a means to get the fuck out of, you know, my hometown, I guess, really, you know, like a lot of folks I grew up with, man, a lot of them are dead. Almost all of them are dead. And it was all OD, suicide, fentanyl. Now it's more fentanyl, but it used to be like pills into dope, you know?
Yeah. Was that your kind of starting point, wanting to like, I mean, was it a struggle to form bands, or were you just like tour managing and selling merch?
I was in bands and they weren't good. And I've been lucky in the sense that like my whole life, people in bands have taken a liking to me. Mm-hmm. And at the start, it was this band called the Hupsy Stompers. And the drummer was just like, you're going to set up my drums and you could smoke them all weed and I'll give you some beers and I'll take you to Chicago. And then he introduced me to a guy that ran a record label, and I worked for him for a while. And through that, I got linked with like Westbound Train, and I was working for them for maybe 3 years. And that led to me starting playing in like a touring band called the Forthrights, playing rocksteady, garage rocksteady. And then that led to like me ending it. Like I pretty much got a job working for the Slackers. Okay. And that catalysted, like, that was like the catalyst of like, okay, cool. Then I got the Scatolites job. I was working for Leftover Crack. I was playing guitar in the Pie Tasters for a while, for a couple years. And I would just get all these weird odd jobs. And from that, it was like, oh, I need a hand at this festival. And then I got linked up with festival work. And then I did that for a long time. Like there was like 7 or 8 months where I didn't play. I was on tour, but I never played a weekend show because it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday festival. And then I toured to the next festival playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then worked the festival, right? It was like 3 days in a hotel, and like I got a travel stipend. It was like, this is free money, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of, it just was a means to collect stories to tell at a bar on a Saturday night to your friends at home. You know, that's kind of really what it all is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And now it's to take those stories and put them into song or reference little things that, you know, your buddies that are listening to the records will catch, you know?
Yeah.
Their mannerisms or their one-liners that you can be like, oh yeah, I got you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That inside joke in the song that two people get or something. My next full length is literally only written off of bullshit one-liners. My friend said drunk at 2 a.m. Every song is based on a conversation on that. Nice.
Big fan of it.
Nice. Yeah. At what point in there did you start writing like solo material and releasing music under your own name?
The first record came out, I think it was 12 years ago. 2012. I think was when the first EP came out, or the first 7-inch, as Sammy, as like the Sammy Kay band or whatever. I'd always written. I wrote it as a teenager. I was writing, and nothing was really epic. But it wasn't until like I was like 20 that like the concept of writing a song started to take shape. Like it became like I can sit down and write a song in one sitting. A lot of that had to do with, I was living in Los Angeles and I was hanging out with Joey Quinones, who does like the Sinceres, and I think he's in the Altons, but he has a beautiful brain, like a Brian Wilson type brain, where he hears all the harmonies and I hear all these parts, and the two of us together, we were able to like, all right, cool. Here's a hook. Here's the chords. Like, and we were churning out a song, like recorded every other day.
Nice.
And that was the Love Letter sessions. Like
Okay.
we did like 70 something songs in like 13 months or 14 months. And a lot of them are like, all right, cool. Here's a ska version. Here's like a soul version. Here's like different, you know, we thought we were going to get world famous. And we should just prep for the big box set already, you know?
Yeah.
But that was a huge one where it was just like, let's just fucking write.
Yeah.
And that's kind of showing its face again with the Kilograms, with Gittleman being such a prolific writer, and Jay Duckworth being like a studio engineer rat, you know, like a nerd. That, and even with McDermott, like Joe, McDermott, and Jay both have home studios, so like we'll write a song on Friday, do a scratch track on Monday, and by the next Monday, like drums, bass, guitars, piano, organ is done.
Nice.
That it's just like this, it's just a cool, if you have the means to just go, it kind of just vomits out, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it was about 12 years ago that I really started like writing.
Nice.
And I haven't really stopped. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Don't say anything good around me, because that's going to end up in a song.
Paris, Texas felt like a reunion with a life I left 1,000,000 miles away. Sorry, man, I ain't got nothing for you.
Let's talk about Kilograms. How'd this project get started?
It was just a fucking happy accident. Based on like terrible circumstances. Our buddy Michelle lost her house in Maui. A couple of buds, our buddy Jeff and our buddy Rachel were like, let's do a comp. Matt Flood at Asbestos had his hand in there too. And they reached out to me and Gittleman about doing a song each. And I got busy and Joe got busy. He called me 4 days before the thing was due and said, hey, I got like a half a song. It needs a bridge still, but I got the music for it. Like I did like a loop thing with the drums and like, can you write a bridge? And like, you take the first verse, I'll take the second verse. We'll sing the choruses together. You take the bridge, just do a piano and a guitar part.
Yeah.
And that was Who Am I? And like, I got it on a Sunday. I learned it. Me and Jay recorded it on Monday. Did a dummy mix, slept on it. Tuesday sent it to Joe. Did a final mix. Wednesday we did a master. And by like Wednesday night, it was like, okay, cool. When do you want to start working on the record?
Wow.
Like this, it was just one of those like super easy, smooth. And then we were trying to figure out a drummer. Like, do we want to keep doing this with loops, sample drums, and do like kind of this weird hip hoppy, like hip hop in the sense of like we'll use an 808 or like drum machines, but play kind of punky reggae or whatever you want to call it, Jamaican influenced music. And then I was dicking around on Instagram. And I saw McDermott was like, hey, I got some time off. Anybody needs studio stuff? And I was just like, I texted McDermott. I was like, you want to join our band? And he's like, what band? And I said, me and Gittleman. And his response was like, say no more. And like the next week, me and Joe found like 5 songs or 6 songs in our notebook and wrote them and rearranged them or whatever, wrote for it or did some edits and swapped some stuff back and forth. And then, you know, the next week we had drums and bass done. Pretty much the first EP, those first 5. And then Jay got looped in because he was engineering it, and we knew Supernova had already offered us the show. It was like, well, if we're going to play, we should build a band.
Yeah.
You know, like we need another guitar player and we need an organ player. And you know, and me and Jay have been working pretty much since the day I moved to Cincinnati. Pretty much anything I've recorded minus the Replacements cover that's on that comp.
Okay.
Jay has engineered or mixed or done something with. And by everything, I mean like everything but 3 songs.
Yeah.
And I got 2 full lengths in the can mastered.
Oh, wow.
Now. So we've just been working and recording and writing and, you know, a lot of it's acoustic with pedal steel or piano that it's like quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can, you know, we made a record the other day in 2 days, but it's just me and a guitar and a harmonica and a tape machine, like no click track, you know?
Oh.
But me and Jay have been creating. It was like, fuck, dude. Like we have so much fun creating. Like I texted Joe. I was like, hey, if Jay's like doing all the brunt work, mixing and recording this, like he's gonna know the songs better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And it's good to have like a sonic nerd in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe was just like, hell yeah, you know, like stoked, cool, let's go. And then we just went to town, and for the better part of the last 6 months now, like every Monday and Tuesday, some Wednesdays, we're working on Kilogram stuff. And
nice.
And it's fucking wild. I'm in a band with like, this is like 8-year-old Sammy, like we were talking about falling in love with music. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in a band, like my earliest pure childhood memory is driving around in my dad's Suzuki Samurai with the top down, listening to Let's Face It.
Yeah. Right.
And like shouting Royal Oil, like I'm in a band with that dude.
Yeah.
And like, I vividly remember hearing like how I spent my summer vacation for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a band with that dude, and I'm in a band with my buddy Jay, like, and we're all just seamlessly, effortlessly making music that's everything is just fun and easy, you know. Like, and it's just like we've been working on this for 6 months. Yesterday was the first day that I like turned to Jay and was like, you don't fucking know what you're talking about, dude. And it was like over like the 6th note in a guitar solo. Like that note's gotta be there. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, I won't play it.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the conversation.
Yeah.
But it's been fucking rad. I can't argue, you know?
Yeah. That's cool. It's funny when you like have friends and you get in arguments about like songs you're recording and working on. I remember I recorded a band once and they like played the intro before going into the verse, and I was like, cut that, that's too long. And they're like, no, it has to be there. And then the guy's wife listened to it and she was like, it's too long. And he was like, okay, you were right. And I was like, yeah, I fucking know.
Dude, I do that. I pulled a couple like trust me's.
Yeah.
I did it last week. I think I pulled it 3 times. We're like, yo, like, I know you don't want to do this, but like, Joe, if we do this like this, it's going to be, the words were, this is what's going to close the record.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I like, when we were talking about it, I was like, yeah, like, but acoustic guitar, I'm like, just fucking trust me on this. And I sent it to him. We did it on Monday. I sent him like all the music, like the guitar, bass, drums, and he's like, yep, this is how the record ends. I'm like, you know, you'll hear a chorus and like, like that's too good.
Yeah.
You know, or like a line in a verse that like, no, that's your hook. That's your chorus. Like we got to flip it. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff, like, I say this like I know what I'm doing. Like Gittleman is like the one like, nah, man, that's the verse. That's the chorus. Like, you know, it's like it's a very positive coach saying like, again, you know, and some stuff like I got to do a click track demo this week for one. I think it's on V12.
Okay.
We know it's good. We know the guts are there, but like it's the arrangement. Like, is this the intro? Is this the right key? Is this? Is that? And we just keep doing it, like chasing tempos. And now the song is written. It's there. It's just like, how do we make it so fucking great?
Yeah.
Like, how do we make it, now that we know the guts are here, how do we make it the coolest 2.5 minutes, or 3 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And Joe is just a fucking genius at that.
Yeah.
And McDermott too. You know, the two of them have made combined, 15 perfect alternative music records.
Yeah.
At least, you know, at least 10, you know, it's just fucking cool. Me and Jay both have been laughing that we are better musicians than we've ever been. Even down to like, Joe won't send cheat sheets sometimes. And it's like that song Joe sent the other day. I was like, Jay, I'm going to try a fucking stack. And I've never successfully done it in rock and roll, where it's like the acoustic is playing an E or the electric's ringing out on an E, the fucking acoustic's playing an E with a different root note.
Yeah.
The lead guitar is sitting at a B and E's, you know, weird things. And the organ's playing in the fifth. And Joe is playing in like the fourth position, right? And it's like, on paper it shouldn't work, but it's there's 6 different notes being played at once, and it fucking works. Yeah. And it's just like, a year ago I'd tell you you're fucking high and let me just play my folk songs, you know?
Yeah.
Let me bitch about my ex-girlfriend a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's completely
respectfully bitch about my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
No bad blood.
Yeah. Was the kind of ska reggae influence punk, did that just kind of come naturally from Joe, or just was there a conversation about what you wanted to create when you started?
No, he just kind of sent a thing. He sent the Who Am I thing, and it was there. And I kind of screamed into the void from the mountaintops that I didn't want to play again.
Yeah.
Because the kind of ska I grew up playing had so many rules, and like bridges were shunned.
Yeah.
Right. That's like why I stopped, was that like traditional, like, and I say this lovingly, like to the LA guys and the New York guys, like if you put a fuzzed out guitar on a reggae song, like you got shot and dragged through the street. So Joe pitching that Who Am I, not even pitching, us working on that, kind of was like, oh, let's do this. And then I pretty much said like, yo, like, let's do this Jamaican influence, but let's show what we can do. And it's cool because like American Black and White is a punky reggae song. And I talked to Todd, who's been playing guitar and steel for me, playing Americana for years in punk rock, and was like, yo, can you like do what Jerry Dammers does on a piano on the pedal steel, right? Like that Ghost Town warble thing. And he's like, first off, I don't know who Jerry Dammers is. And I like played him Ghost Town, and he did, woo, you know, on the steel. And it's like, oh, like cool. And it's been fucking cool. And I listen to a lot of the Mescaleros, a lot of Joe Strummer, and I kind of brought to Joe when we started thinking about it that like there's no rules.
Yeah.
Like if it needs a fiddle on a fucking reggae song, we're doing it. You know?
Yeah.
The one thing I asked was like, let's try and do it without horns.
Yeah.
That if and when we tour or gig, it's just easier.
Yeah.
And there's no fucking horns. But yeah, it's definitely, we talked a lot about like the Mescaleros and the Clash and like the weird Clash, like the Sandinista shit.
Yeah.
Where let's do this and let's do that. And like, there's no rules.
Mm-hmm.
And if it needs a double bridge, it's getting a double bridge, but it's all really just for the sake of the song, you know? The second crop of songs, I don't want to use the word full length because I don't know what it's going to.
Yeah.
I think there's 12 done, 12 guitar, bass, drums, piano done now. And we're just starting to think of like the weird, you know? A couple of them were like, oh, we're going to do mellotrons on this or some synths, but like nothing bonkers, but it's everything just kind of sits for the sake of the song, you know?
Yeah.
If what you do serves the song right, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Once bitten, twice betrayed. Another pin drops from a grenade. Oh, wow, she fall. Hold tight, there are these.
Debut EP came out in February. You guys are working on a bunch of songs. Is it just like the goal to keep churning? Are you looking at how to take this on the road or?
We got some shows in May, just to see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do it. McDermott's out with Joe and Jet then, so our buddy Danny's playing drums, which is, I love Danny, but I love McDermott. I'm bummed that Derm has the Joe and Jet gig, you know, but we're gonna get on the road. There's some shows in the fall that haven't been announced yet and some things cooking. The thing that we talked about last week, maybe in the group chat, is like, we all got home studios for the most part. Like, let's just we have if we wanted to put out an LP, the bones of a good record is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the roller coaster of tempo, tone, key, feel, story. Like, the narrative is there and it flows good. And we could finish it up in 2 weeks and send it to master.
Yeah.
But we also have the means to just keep writing and like challenge songs in like making a perfect record or whatever sense. But yeah, the thing that we've all been talking about is just we all write so much that like it's just a means to constantly create and be able to, I don't want to use the word stockpile, but just have stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Have things that are there and think about it and like, I'm not mad. Jay is neither, in the sense of like, Jay might be mad. His electric bill is pretty high right now. Running 6 tube amps throughout a day, 3 days a week will do it.
You know, yeah.
But I've found myself in the last, I've pretty much only been playing acoustic guitars now for about 5 years.
Okay.
That coming back to a Telecaster and a Fender style tube amp with a preamp and a tremolo and distortion and fucking delay, I just find myself every day doing something that I didn't think I could do or know how to do. And like finding myself becoming a better player all around, down to like, I've been playing a lot of leads on this, and I'm not a leads guy. I've never fucking played a guitar solo in my life until this project. And now I'm finding myself trying to write folk music and doing the fingerpick thing where my pinky on my B and G, B, E strings is doing the John Prine walks that I never was able to do.
Right.
that it's like, dude, as long as we can just keep working and at least for me, and I'm going to speak for Jay too, growing as better studio musicians and just musicians in general and songwriters, like, I'm good. Yeah. I'm all good. Let's just fucking go. As long as, like, I got a hard no bullshit rule. Mm-hmm. Like, once the bullshit hits and I'm stressed and I don't want to, and I'm like dreading it, I'm out. That's always kind of, or not out, but like putting a pin in it. I'm going to the beach for 4 days. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as long as we're having fun. I don't, we're just going to keep working on stuff.
Yeah. Does that attitude going to keep you guys independent and not like searching for labels to put this out, because you can manufacture CDs, cassettes, vinyl kind of yourself and kind of keep it all in house and not have to worry about somebody else doing shit for you and just release on your own schedule?
That's definitely a possibility. It's been brought up, just self-releasing and just, what I've been doing with like the solo stuff is like this year I have the grandiose intentions to release at least a song every month. 12 months, right?
Yeah.
There was 2 songs in January, Kilograms in February. A song comes out tomorrow. April, it's going to master this week. May, I can't talk about it. June, I can't talk about it. July, I also can't talk about it.
But you got shit coming down the pike.
Yeah. I got a record that we just finally, it was part of the doomed label fallout that just found a home last week. It went to press. So I have a full length coming out this year. There's something kind of always going.
Damn.
And that's my thing. As long as I can create and make art.
Yeah.
Right. The thing about music really for me is that my favorite records I've found in the 11th hour of fucking hell. And as long as one fucking person in this world can stumble on something that I said, that I wrote to help ease my mind, and that eases their mind, I will forever make music. Yeah. Just one person. Mm-hmm. If I could help somebody in their darkest hour or best hour, brightest hour, right? Just something I've written and hollered into a goddamn microphone and sent out into the void. Just one person, we're good. Yeah. That's 20 years of hell on the road. And I say hell like in a both positive and negative way, right? A life of purgatory, traveling around. Again, in a positive and negative light, right? I'm good. We're good. So, and creating is just a means to keep that one number there.
Ladies breaking. Who's protecting who?
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along. world.